If you have the courage to hear the full nightmare, stay till the end. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more terrifying stories like this. People who entered and never came back. The last page of that diary had only one sentence written on it. If you are reading this, I am no longer alive. That diary was found deep inside Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. The same forest where people have been vanishing since 1930. No bodies, no screams, no trace. According to police records, 18 people disappeared in 1968 alone. One of them was Alex Popescu, a 27-year-old documentary filmmaker. Alex's last video was uploaded at 2:13 a.m. The video begins with a shaky camera. His voice is trembling. People say this forest is alive. I never believed it. But now, I feel like someone is watching me. The camera turns. The trees stand at unnatural angles, as if they have been twisted by force. Suddenly, a shadow moves in the background. Alex says, "Did you see that?" "No, it's probably just my imagination." The camera cuts off. The next morning, when local villagers approached the forest, they found Alex's backpack. They found his camera. They did not find Alex. Then, 3 days later, this diary was discovered. The pages were covered in deep scratch marks, as if someone had tried to write while their hand was being dragged away. The final page contained that same sentence. The police closed the case. Official reason: wild animal attack. But there was one problem. Not a single part of Alex's body was ever found. No blood, no bones. Alex was not the only one. In Japan's Aokigahara forest, an American tourist named Sarah Mitchell entered with her boyfriend. Only the boyfriend came back out. His clothes were covered in dirt. His eyes were completely empty. He said only one thing. She was speaking, but the voice was not hers. After that, he never spoke again. And then there is Bangor Fort in India. Security guards report that after sunset, human footprints go inside the fort, but never come back out. According to the guards, we hear screams, but when we shine our torches, there is nothing there. These are different places, different people, different countries. But one thing is always the same. None of them were alone. And before disappearing, they all said the same thing. Something is calling us. And whatever calls from those places never lets you return. The last recordings were never meant to be found. The police believe these disappearances were unrelated. Different countries, different cultures, different timelines. But they were wrong. In 2014, an anonymous researcher leaked a private database online. It contained unreleased audio logs, deleted videos, and confiscated journals from people who vanished in haunted locations across the world. Most of the files had one thing in common. They were recorded minutes before disappearance. One of the files was labeled Case Number 044, Eastern State Penitentiary, USA. The voice belonged to Michael Grant, a paranormal investigator who entered the abandoned prison with a small handheld recorder. His first recording was calm. "This place is supposed to be empty, but every cell door feels occupied." 10 minutes later, his breathing changed. "Someone is walking behind me. I stop. They stop. I move. They move. There is a pause. Then Michael whispers, 'I can hear my own voice, but I'm not speaking.'" The audio ends with a sound that investigators could never explain. It wasn't a scream. It sounded like someone else trying to scream using his throat. Michael was never seen again. The next file came from Poveglia Island, Italy, a place where thousands died during plagues and mental asylum experiments. The missing person was Elena Rossi, a travel vlogger who broke into the island at night. Her camera footage was recovered from the water near the shore. At first, the video shows nothing unusual: crumbling buildings, broken windows, dark hallways. Then Elena freezes. She zooms in on a doorway. Someone is standing there, not moving, not breathing, just watching. Elena laughs nervously and says, "Okay, that's not funny. Whoever you are, stop." The figure takes one step forward, and suddenly, the figure has Elena's face. Same eyes, same smile, but the mouth opens wider than humanly possible. The video cuts to static. Elena's body was never recovered. Her phone, however, kept sending voice messages for 3 days. Every message said the same sentence: "I made it back. Why won't you open the door?" Another case came from Château de Brissac, France. A couple entered the castle overnight for a live stream challenge. Viewers watched in real time as the woman suddenly turned to her partner and said, "She's standing right behind you." The man laughed. The woman did not. She was staring at something that wasn't visible on camera. Then her expression changed. Her voice became flat, emotionless. She says you're not supposed to leave. The live stream ended abruptly. Only the man was found the next morning, sitting against a wall, alive, but aged. His hair had turned white overnight. When questioned, he said, "Time doesn't move the same way in there. She kept me because I looked back." That sentence appeared again and again across different cases. I looked back. Every missing person had ignored one warning. Do not respond. Do not follow. Do not turn around. Because whatever lives in those places doesn't hunt you. It waits for you to notice it. And once you do, it learns your face, your voice, your fear. And then it replaces you. If you think this ends here, keep watching. Because in the next part, we uncover the one location where people didn't just disappear. They came back wrong. They returned. But they were not the same. Most haunted locations have one thing in common. People enter. People vanish. But there is one place where the pattern breaks. Because some people came back. In Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky, official records show 7 individuals who were reported missing inside the building, and then suddenly reappeared, alive, breathing, walking. But none of them were ever the same again. One of them was Thomas Keller, a night photographer who entered Waverly Hills in 2016 to capture long exposure shots. His disappearance lasted 9 hours. Search teams were already being prepared when Thomas walked out of the main entrance on his own. He had no injuries, no scratches, no signs of struggle, but his pupils were permanently dilated. When questioned, Thomas said something disturbing. "I didn't leave. I was allowed to go." He claimed that inside the sanatorium, the hallways never ended. Doors led to the same rooms again and again. Windows showed daylight, even though it was night outside. He also said he wasn't alone. "They don't touch you. They just stand close enough so you can feel them." Thomas refused therapy, refused interviews, refused to sleep with the lights off. 3 weeks later, he uploaded a final photograph online. It showed a hospital hallway. At the end of the hallway stood dozens of figures. All of them were facing the camera. All of them had Thomas's face. Thomas vanished again that same night. This time, he never returned. Another case involved Emily Harper, a college student who joined a guided paranormal tour. She disappeared for 46 minutes. The tour guide swore she never left the group. Emily was suddenly standing behind them, silent. When asked where she had been, Emily answered calmly, "I was learning how to stand still." After that night, Emily stopped blinking normally. Doctors noticed she would sometimes go minutes without blinking at all. She also developed a strange habit. She would stand in doorways at night, staring into rooms for hours. When her roommate asked what she was doing, Emily replied, "Waiting for my turn to be invited back." Emily locked herself inside a bathroom 6 months later. She carved a sentence repeatedly into the mirror using a broken razor. "They said I was almost ready." Her body was found, but the autopsy report stated something impossible. Her internal organs showed signs of extreme aging, while her skin remained young, as if time had passed differently inside her. The most disturbing return happened in Pripyat, near Chernobyl. A man known only as Subject Zero was found wandering the exclusion zone. Radiation scanners detected no contamination, but his shadow did not move correctly. It lagged behind him. When scientists questioned him, he smiled and said, "I was shown where everyone goes. Most of you just don't survive the waiting." When asked what was waiting, Subject Zero answered, "The part of you that realizes it was never alone." All returnees shared the same symptom. They avoided mirrors, because mirrors reminded them of something that had already memorized their reflection. The place that chooses its victims. Some haunted locations don't wait for curiosity. They choose. In Hotel Cecil, Los Angeles, disappearances follow a disturbing pattern. Not everyone is taken. Only certain people. People who share the same traits. Insomnia, depression, a sense of being watched long before arrival. One of the most documented cases is Daniel Reyes, a freelance writer who checked into the hotel in 2019. Security footage shows Daniel entering the elevator alone. The elevator doors begin to close. Then suddenly, Daniel steps back. He looks down the hallway. His face changes. Not fear, recognition. He steps out of the elevator and follows something that is not visible on camera. That was the last time he was seen. 3 days later, guests complained about the water. It was dark. It tasted metallic. Maintenance workers checked the rooftop tanks. Daniel's body was found inside one of them. But the autopsy revealed something impossible. His lungs contained no water. Instead, they were filled with air, as if he had been breathing normally, while submerged. Another case occurred at Leap Castle, Ireland, built over a hidden oubliette where hundreds died screaming. A historian named Margaret O'Connell entered the castle basement alone. She was missing for 17 minutes. When she reappeared, she collapsed. Her first words were, "It counted me." Margaret described standing in complete darkness while something circled her. Not touching, not speaking, just counting her breaths. She later revealed that every number spoken was wrong, out of order, backwards, as if time itself was broken. Margaret never entered another historical site again. She sealed every mirror in her house. Before her death, she wrote a note. Once it knows how long you last, it comes back for you. The most terrifying pattern emerged in La Noria, Chile, an abandoned mining town. Urban explorers noticed something strange. Photos taken there always included extra figures. Not reflections, not shadows. Faces staring directly into the lens. People who explored La Noria began reporting dreams. In the dreams, they were standing in the town square. Someone would point at them and say, "This one is ready." Within weeks, those individuals vanished. One of them was Luis Moreno, who live-streamed his final visit. During the stream, viewers saw something chilling. Names appeared scratched into the ground. Fresh. One of the names was Luis Moreno. He laughed. This town has a sense of humor. Minutes later, the stream ended. Search teams found his camera. The footage continued recording. The last frame showed Luis standing perfectly still, while multiple figures stood behind him, all facing the camera, all smiling. Authorities labeled these incidents as coincidence, but a leaked internal report stated something else. Every victim shared one final action before disappearance. They acknowledged the presence. They spoke to it, followed it, or believed it wanted them. That was enough. Because these places don't trap everyone. They only take the ones who answer. Stay with this story, because in the next part, we uncover the recordings that were never released. The ones where the missing begged us not to come looking. Screams that never end. Some places don't just take you. They torture your mind first. In Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia, a group of urban explorers entered a supposedly abandoned wing in 2018. They thought it was empty. They were wrong. The first sign came with the faintest whisper. "You shouldn't be here." No one spoke. No one moved. But the whispers grew louder with every step. One by one, the explorers' shadows stretched unnaturally, twisting along the walls. Then came the first scream. It was not human. A sound deep, gurgling, echoing through the halls. It vibrated in their bones. One explorer, Mark, shined his flashlight into a cell. Inside, dozens of faces stared at him. Not alive, not dead, eyes hollow, mouths wide open, screaming silently. Mark tried to run. The corridor behind him no longer existed. Instead, he was in a narrow, endless hallway, lined with mirrors. Each reflection showed him older, terrified, broken. Every mirror had a hand pressed on the glass from the inside. And every reflection whispered, "Join us." He ran blindly. Then he stumbled over something soft. He looked down. It was his own torn hand, still moving, still bleeding, yet attached to no one. Screaming, he tried to pick it up. It bit him, skin tearing. He blacked out. The others searched for Mark. They found him hours later, lying in a pool of black liquid. His eyes were gone. His mouth opened unnaturally wide. When he tried to scream, nothing came out, only a high-pitched echo of someone else's voice. They carried him out, but the asylum wasn't finished. The next victim was Lydia, a paranormal vlogger. She entered Bodie Ghost Town, California, alone at night. Her camera captured movement no human could make. Doors slamming, windows rattling, shadows darting with impossible speed. Then a figure appeared. It was human for a moment. Then its skin melted like wax. Its eyes fell out, rolling across the floor. It smiled. Its teeth elongated into razor-sharp fangs. It whispered, not to her face, but inside her mind. "Your body is mine. I just need your voice first." Her screams lasted 5 minutes. Her body was found the next morning. Her vocal cords shredded beyond repair. Her eyes frozen open in terror. Across the world, in Pripyat, another explorer disappeared in the reactor hall. CCTV recovered his last movements. He walked into a radiation chamber. Alarms never sounded. Inside, dozens of shadowy figures hung in midair, pressing human faces into the walls. When he screamed, the shadows turned to him. They opened mouths wider than humanly possible. He didn't run. He didn't resist. By morning, only his shoes remained. The CCTV footage continued recording. From inside the chamber, you could see faint movement, as if he was still walking inside the walls. These places share the same rule. The longer you look, the closer they get. The braver you are, the more they enjoy you. No one escapes them unharmed. Not the lost, not the returned, and never the curious. Those who fought and regretted it. Some victims thought they could fight back. They were wrong. In Poveglia Island, Italy, a group of thrill-seekers broke into the abandoned plague hospital at night. They carried ropes, cameras, and flashlights, thinking they could record the supernatural. At first, everything was quiet. The walls were blackened with mold, the floors sticky with age-old grime. Then they found a door that wasn't on any map. Inside, dozens of bodies lay piled in the corner. Some decayed, some preserved in a twisted state, as if the corpses had been forced to stand upright while dying. One explorer, Jason, laughed nervously. "This is insane. Who would do this?" The moment he spoke, the bodies turned their heads simultaneously. Not slowly, not humanly. They snapped toward him like a predator striking. Jason froze. One hand shot out of the pile and grabbed him by the ankle. It wasn't strong. It was impossibly strong, like iron made of bones. The others tried to pull him free. The hand sliced through metal camera equipment like paper. Jason screamed, but no sound came out. Instead, the pile of bodies grinned with his own face. Within seconds, he vanished. The remaining explorers ran. Hallways stretched endlessly. Windows showed night outside, but when they turned back, the windows reflected faces pressed from inside the glass. They reached the stairwell, but the stairs had vanished. A dark figure waited at the top. It had no eyes, only a gaping hole where the face should have been. Its fingers extended impossibly long. It reached down and whispered, "You wanted to fight, now you belong." One by one, the group tried to climb walls, smash windows, break doors. Every escape route led them back to the same room with Jason's screaming face. It was melted, distorted, alive, and pleading. Finally, one explorer, Sarah, found a small trap door. She escaped into the mud outside. But when rescuers arrived hours later, she had vanished. Only her journal remained. Inside, the last line read, "If you are reading this, don't enter. They wait for the ones who resist." Across the globe, similar stories emerge. In Hoya Baciu Forest, a hiker survived an encounter with a shadow entity. She swung a branch at it. It grabbed her wrist. She felt her bones bending like twigs, then the world went black. She woke hours later on a dirt path. Her hand was gone completely. No trace, just pain that refused to fade. In Bangor Fort, India, a man tried to run from a figure that whispered his name. He tripped, fell, and hit the ground. When he looked up, the figure had duplicated. 2, then 4, then 8, each one closer, each one grinning. He screamed, but the sound was absorbed into the walls. By sunrise, he vanished. The rule is clear. Those who fight are remembered. They are hunted harder. And eventually, they become part of the horror itself. No matter how fast you run, no matter how brave you think you are, they are waiting. And they are patient if you think resistance works. The next part shows the victims who tried to record the horrors, only to find their recordings haunted them forever. The recordings that never let go. Some horrors are not just seen. They are recorded. And if you watch, you are next. In Chateau de Brissac, France, a filmmaker named Julien attempted to document the castle's supernatural activity. He set up cameras in every hallway. Cameras that never slept. At first, the footage was ordinary. Shadows shifted. Whispers were faint. But soon, the footage began to move on its own. Julien would review it at night. The cameras showed him sleeping in the guest room, even though he was awake, watching on a monitor. He thought it was a prank. Then, in one video, his reflection moved independently. He raised a hand. His reflection raised too. He turned to look in the mirror. It was empty. No reflection at all. That night, he dreamed he was trapped in the castle walls. Figures pressed their faces against him from the inside of every surface. They whispered his name. their mouths elongated unnaturally. Fingers stretched through the stone and wood, scratching his skin without touching him. When Julian woke, he found the footage had changed. He was no longer alone in the frames. Every shot of the castle now showed a figure with his exact face, staring into the camera. Some frames showed dozens of Julian faces stacked in impossible positions, all screaming silently. Panicked, he tried to delete the footage, but every copy reappeared on every device he owned. His phone, camera, laptop, all displayed the same video. Julian standing in the castle hallway, screaming silently as figures multiplied behind him. Within days, Julian vanished. His apartment remained locked. The footage was left running. Neighbors reported a pale face peering through the window at night, silent, unmoving, but watching. Similar cases emerged elsewhere. In Hoya Bachu Forest, a hiker filmed strange movements. When reviewing the footage, she noticed something horrifying. A shadow always appeared just behind her reflection in the camera lens. No matter how fast she turned, the shadow was already closer. Days later, the camera recorded her sleeping at night. The next morning, she was gone. The memory card remained intact. The shadow in the lens had a smile. In Bangor Fort, a YouTuber live-streamed the entire night. Viewers watched as he screamed at figures approaching him from every direction. But the footage later revealed something impossible. The figures weren't approaching him. They were coming from his body. His own limbs had shifted unnaturally. His eyes stared from behind his skull. And in the final frame, he smiled directly into the camera, even though he was dead. The lesson is clear. Recording the horror doesn't protect you. Watching it doesn't protect you. Even your own reflection becomes a weapon against you. These cameras do not capture reality. They capture what will happen. And if you watch, it can begin inside your own home. But the next part reveals the victims who tried to escape and what followed them home. Even after the location was abandoned, they followed them home. Haunted places don't just keep victims inside. Sometimes they follow you. In Bangor Fort, a man named Ravi survived an encounter with a shadow figure. He ran. He escaped the fort. He breathed the fresh night air. But that night, his mirror reflected someone standing behind him. Not in the room, not outside, but in the mirror, smiling. Ravi tried to ignore it. He covered mirrors. He left town. He locked every door. Nothing worked. The shadow followed. It appeared in photographs he hadn't taken. It appeared in reflections of windows, televisions, even water surfaces. Every surface became a doorway. Soon, Ravi noticed changes in his own body. His hands bent at impossible angles when no one was looking. His shadow stretched unnaturally on walls. At night, his voice came from somewhere else in the house, whispering his name, long before he spoke. In Pripyat, Ukraine, a man named Dmitry left the exclusion zone alive. But the entity that had trapped him in the reactor hall followed him. It didn't walk. It didn't breathe. It slid through walls, silently, always waiting. Dmitry tried to sleep in different rooms. The entity appeared on his ceiling, behind every door, in reflections. It learned his habits. It knew where he would hide. One night, Dmitry woke to see hands pressing through the bedroom walls. Pale, emaciated hands, gripping the edges of the plaster. A hollow voice whispered, "You cannot hide from what already owns you." He ran. Outside, the streets were empty. No one saw him. Yet, when he turned, his own face stared back from the shadows. Grinning, eyes black, mouth wide enough to swallow him whole. In Hoya Bachu Forest, another victim, Clara, fled after filming a shadow. The footage showed her running. Then, suddenly, she was already inside the frame before she ran there. The shadow in the recording mirrored her movements in advance. That night, Clara tried to sleep, but something touched her. Not a hand, not an object. Something slid under her skin, crawling, warm, alive. She screamed. No one came. By morning, her bed was empty, except for tiny scratch marks all over the walls, deep enough to draw blood. The rule is universal. Once you leave, they do not stop. They do not forget. Your home becomes their new hunting ground. Every door, window, mirror, photograph, and reflection can become a gateway. And once they enter your personal space, you are no longer alone. Those who survive the place never truly survive. They exist in a constant state of fear. Knowing one glance in a mirror or one shadow across the room can end them instantly. The worst part? They enjoy the fear more than the death itself. The next part shows the final horrifying truth: why these locations exist and why no one escapes their design. The reason they exist. All haunted locations have one purpose: not curiosity, not vengeance, not punishment. They exist to feed. In Hoia Baciu Forest, Romania, investigators discovered a pattern. Every person who vanished, every shadow that followed someone home, shared the same condition. They looked. They noticed something they were not meant to. A reflection, a shadow, a presence behind them. The forest is not just alive. It is aware. It records your fear. It stores it. And when it has enough, it uses it to reshape reality. The same pattern exists in Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The corridors twist and stretch. The shadows mimic your movements. The entities are not separate beings. They are extensions of the place, created from every fear it has collected over decades. Victims like Thomas Keller weren't returned by mistake. They were tested. The places study how humans respond to fear, isolation, and panic. The ones who resist, fight, or scream too loudly. They are used to create new extensions, new entities that haunt future victims. In Bangor Fort, India, the same logic applies. Those who enter do not leave as themselves. Their fear becomes permanent. Their bodies vanish. Their faces appear in future shadows, reflections, and walls. The place is alive because it remembers them, and it grows stronger with each victim. Even the recordings, videos, and photographs are part of the design. They are not evidence. They are bait. The images and footage spread fear, attracting the next set of victims. The more people watch, the stronger the place becomes. Consider this: every video you have ever seen from haunted locations, every live stream, every urban explorer vlog, they are feeding the entity behind the screen. Every reaction, every shiver, every skipped heartbeat. It is recorded somewhere in the same network of shadows. The ultimate horror? There is no safe place. No hiding. No escape. The locations do not just exist. They hunt. They store. They replicate. And they follow. Every shadow in your home. Every flicker in your peripheral vision. Every reflection in a mirror. It could be them. Waiting. Learning. Ready to make you the next edition. And the worst truth of all: they are patient. They have all the time in the world. Every glance, every heartbeat, every moment you think you are safe, they are already inside you. The final confrontation. And what remains? After decades, countless disappearances, and unexplainable horrors, a group of investigators decided to challenge the rules. They called themselves the Watchers. Armed with cameras, sensors, and fearless determination, they entered Hoia Baciu Forest, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and Bangor Fort simultaneously, documenting every corner, every shadow, every reflection. They believed they could study the phenomena without becoming victims. They were wrong. From the very first step, the entities reacted. In the forest, trees twisted into impossible shapes. Shadows moved independently. Whispers called names no one had spoken. At Waverly Hills, the walls breathed, inhaling fear. Every reflection in broken mirrors showed multiple faces of each investigator screaming silently. At Bangor, footprints led inside, then vanished. When investigators followed them, they found themselves in rooms they had never entered, trapped in loops where every exit returned them to the same hallway. The Watchers fought. They screamed. They resisted. But the locations were smarter. They had learned. Each investigator was confronted with exactly what they feared most. One saw their own dead body, hanging silently from a ceiling. Another felt hands crawl under their skin, tearing at bones from the inside. A third faced a shadow of themselves, grinning, twisting, whispering. You thought you could resist. You cannot leave. The investigators tried to run. They tried to communicate with each other. But time and space bent against them. Hallways doubled, doors disappeared, windows reflected impossible dimensions. By sunrise, only one investigator remained. Her face pale, her eyes black, her voice flat. She whispered into the camera. It knows us. It keeps us. Every fear, every heartbeat, every thought. Already inside it. If you watch this, you are next. She turned. The camera captured dozens of her faces stacked behind her, all screaming silently. The last frame froze on her reflection, smiling. The footage was found the next day. The forest, the sanatorium, and the fort were empty. No trace of the investigators remained. Police reports labeled it as missing persons cases, closed with no explanation. But the leaked recordings showed the truth. They never left. They are everywhere. And they are patient. Every haunted location that has ever been recorded, visited, or whispered about feeds the same cycle. The shadows grow. The walls remember. The reflections wait. And if you are watching this now, you have already seen them. You have already been marked. The next step is waiting. The screen goes black. A whisper echoes in your mind. We are closer than you think. Cliffhanger. The next day, police investigating the abandoned forest found a single camera facing the road. Its last recording showed a shadow standing in the viewer's living room before the screen went dead. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.